The Stranger on Maple Street. I was 12 years old, and it was my first time being allowed to trick or treat without adult supervision. My friend Marcus convinced me it would be way more fun without parents tagging along. His older brother, Troy, who was 16, agreed to take us around. I knew my mom wouldn't like it if she found out we were going without supervision, so I kept my mouth shut. It was the perfect October night, chilly but not freezing, and the neighborhood looked alive with glowing pumpkins and kids in costumes running down the streets. Troy didn't care much about trick-or-treating. He mostly stayed on his phone, following behind us, only looking up to make sure we weren't doing anything too dumb. At first it felt amazing, just Marcus and me, going wherever we wanted, loading our bags with candy. The freedom felt like flying, but things took a weird turn about an hour into the night. We were heading down Maple Street, a part of the neighborhood neither of us had ever been to. Most houses had their porch lights off, but one house stood out. It was an old Victorian home with dim orange lights glowing from the windows, and a jack-o'-lantern sat on the porch, flickering in the dark. Marcus grinned. Bet they have the good candy. We ran up the steps and knocked on the door. It opened slowly, revealing a man in his 50s with graying hair and a weirdly cheerful grin. "Happy Halloween, boys," he said in a sing-song voice. "You're my first trick-or-treaters tonight. Come in, I've got something special for you." I hesitated on the porch, but Marcus, always the bold one, stepped inside without a second thought. The man smiled wider and motioned for me to follow. "Come on, it's cold out there." Something about him gave me the creeps, but I didn't want Marcus to think I was scared, so I stepped inside, too. The door shut behind us with a heavy thud. The inside of the house smelled off, like something old and damp. The walls were lined with faded wallpaper, and in the corner of the living room, a record player played a scratchy old jazz tune. "Wait here, boys. I'll go get the treats," the man said, disappearing into another room. Marcus sat on the couch, completely unbothered, scrolling through his phone. I stayed standing, gripping my candy bag, ready to leave at any moment. Minutes passed. "He's taking forever," I whispered. Marcus shrugged. "Relax, dude. Free candy, right?" The jazz record crackled as it skipped to the next song, the eerie melody filling the silence. Just as I was about to suggest we leave, the man returned, but not with candy. He was holding a large wooden box. "Found it," he announced, grinning from ear to ear. "This is the real treat." He placed the box on the coffee table and opened it slowly. Inside were dozens of small, hand-carved wooden dolls, each one dressed in tiny clothes and painted with lifelike detail. "They're my collection," the man whispered, as if sharing a secret. "Every Halloween, I give one to a special trick-or-treater, and tonight you boys are the lucky ones." I exchanged a nervous glance with Marcus. Something about the dolls unsettled me. Each one had an expression frozen in terror, eyes wide, mouths open as if they were screaming. Marcus laughed nervously. Thanks, but I think we're good. We gotta get going." The man's grin faded. His expression darkened, but I insist. He reached into the box, pulling out two dolls, one with red hair like Marcus, and another with brown hair, just like mine. My heart skipped a beat. They looked exactly like us. "You can't leave without your gifts," the man said, stepping closer. Marcus grabbed my arm. "Let's go." We turned and bolted toward the door, but it wouldn't budge. The lock clicked loudly as the man whispered behind us, "Leaving so soon?" Panic surged through me. Marcus yanked at the door with all his strength, but it didn't move. "Come on," I hissed, fear making my voice shake. Just then, we heard the sound of tiny footsteps like little wooden feet tapping on the floor. I looked down and saw the dolls moving. They were twitching, their limbs jerking awkwardly as they tried to stand on their own. Marcus screamed, kicking one away, but more of them started to crawl out of the box, their tiny painted faces twisted with eerie smiles. The man chuckled softly. They just want to play. With one final pull, Marcus managed to yank the door open. We stumbled out onto the porch, slamming the door behind us. I didn't stop running until we were halfway down the street. Breathless, we glanced back at the house. The porch light flickered off, and the house was swallowed by darkness, as if it had never been there. Troy was waiting at the corner, looking annoyed. "Where the hell were you guys?" We didn't answer. We just kept walking, silent and shaken. I never told my parents what happened that night. I didn't even tell Marcus. But every Halloween since then, I've had the same nightmare of those dolls, crawling toward me, their tiny hands reaching out. And in the dream, the man's voice always whispers the same thing. "Happy Halloween. Boys, happy Halloween."